What are the primary distinctions between the INTJ and the INFJ personality types, and how can you tell them apart? I can already hear some of your thoughts. Well, one has a T and one has an F in their preferences. And to some extent, you're right. On the other hand, it's definitely not that simple. To begin, why is there so much confusion about the INFJ and INTJ personality types? There are several causes for this. One of the most significant is that the two personality types do have three shared preferences. Introversion, intuition, and judgment are all shared characteristics, but there's actually a more obvious answer. While most people are aware of the different preferences that make up the Myers-Briggs personality types, such as introversion versus extroversion, sensing versus intuition, thinking versus feeling, and perceiving versus judging, many are unaware of what are known as the cognitive functions, or mindsets. This is where the true differences lie, and what we are going to take a deeper look at in today's video as we dissect INFJ versus INTJ. Let's get into it. Welcome to Success for Breakfast, where I'm serving up brain food made simple. Hit that subscribe button to get daily videos created to give you the tools to level up your life. These cognitive functions, or mindsets, are what drive these personalities, giving us a clear picture of what inspires people and what piques their interest. So when comparing the INFJ and INTJ personality types, you'll note that both have introverted intuition, abbreviated as NI, as their top function. By the way, the classification of these mindsets is like a pyramid, therefore they're in the order of most powerful to least. So in this hierarchy of mindsets, the first one is always the most powerful. Introverted intuition is shared by both the INFJ and INTJ, so they experience the world in similar ways. They're able to see the big picture. They easily find connections and will search for greater significance. Introverted perceivers who are focused on collecting a lot of knowledge, appreciate research, and then enjoy connecting the dots are a few approaches they use because of this manner of seeing the world in their way of thinking as introverts. As a result, they are highly similar in terms of intuition. You may have also noted that INFJs and INTJs have the same fourth function, or inferior function, known as extroverted sensing, or SE. Every personality has a fourth function, which is the weakest function. As a result, the extroverted sensory side of the INTJ and INFJ personality types manifests itself in how they react to loud noises, bright lights, and excessive environmental stimulation. With too much noise or input, neither of these personality types does well. Because introverted intuition is a delicate process, and these personality types require calm to form connections between concepts and see future visions, they will always be at their best when they have quiet where they can ponder and just to work out their ideas. Another thing to mention is skilled sensing is a reward for both personality types to some level. So you might discover that INFJs and INTJs enjoy being outside in nature, or that they enjoy exercising to some amount, or they have a passion like cooking or music that allows them to lightly engage their extroverted senses. Because of those similarities, it can be challenging to tell them apart, but we're here today to get to the bottom of what makes them different. What distinctions do you think you'll notice first between the INFJ and the INTJ? Well, if we're talking about what you might observe about a person before you actually get to know him or her, it'll be the way that person extroverts, or what they display to the outside world. Being introverts, both INFJ and INTJ will keep their truest, most private parts of themselves hidden until they feel safe enough to trust someone else. But what you won't notice about the INFJ right away is that he or she is worried about other people's well-being, comfort, and acceptance in the group. Extroverted feelers like INFJs are tuned into harmony and want everyone to get along. This desire for harmony is so great that INFJs will frequently ignore their own personal desires in order to accommodate the needs of others. Furthermore, the INFJ's extroverted feeling function influences how he or she employs their introverted intuition. Because of this, INFJs are people who are naturally drawn to tasks that aid people or humanity. They will be primarily interested in psychology, personal improvement, and the development of other people on a broader scale. Another thing to keep in mind about INFJs and their combination of extroverted feeling and introverted intuition is that they are known for picking up on other people's feelings and almost absorbing them to the point where they have a hard time distinguishing which feelings are their own and which are those of other people. If you've gotten some value from this video so far, please show your appreciation and hit that like button. That's going to signal YouTube that you think other people could benefit from this video too. INTJs, on the other hand, use extroverted thinking as a function or mindset. As a result, INTJs are frank and to the point when conversing and giving their opinions. That isn't to say that they are inconsiderate, it just means that their bottom line is data-driven and facts-oriented. Furthermore, when this extroverted thinking function and introverted intuition are combined, INTJs become systems engineers and efficiency junkies. They want everything to go smoothly, and they want to create hierarchical and structural systems that allow everyone to work together to complete tasks as efficiently as possible. While INTJs are frequently interested in psychology, they are more likely to be drawn to math and science, as well as the technology industry. Another way to distinguish between the two types is to look at their third cognitive function. So I've labeled this as a scholar or a peacemaker, and while I'm not sure they are appropriate labels, there are certainly part of each within the INFJ and INTJ personality types. When looking at the functional stack or hierarchy of functions for the INFJ personality type, you'll notice that the third function or mindset for the INFJ is something called introverted thinking, which is commonly abbreviated TI. Introverted thinking encourages people to collect and categorize a great amount of information. So INFJs are good at learning and organizing knowledge to some level. They aren't as good as the INTP or the ISTP, but they are good. In fact, the increased rate of feeling and introverted thinking are back-to-back, making them fairly balanced. Even though most INFJs are stronger at employing their extroverted feelings, introverted thinking isn't far behind. As a result, INFJs excel in finding specialized answers to challenges. They appreciate providing unique solutions to issues, as well as answering life's great philosophical challenges. INFJs are also interested in productivity and technology because of their introverted thinking attitude. However, it's vital to note that introverted thinking, as opposed to extroverted thinking, is concerned with personal autonomy, whereas extroverted thinking, which INTJs use, is concerned with influencing others in the outer environment or an organization in order to make it more productive. A mindset called introverted feeling can be found in the INTJ's functional stack. Introverted feelings are in touch with a person's personal sentiments and wants, and they are good at conveying those feelings and needs to others. So where the INFJ would struggle to convey his or her wants due to a desire to please others, the INTJ would have an easier time explaining what he or she needs and making that evident. Furthermore, they would be more clear about what their true needs are, as a result of less confusion picked up from others and what those individuals are feeling. People who have an extroverted feeling function are typically effective advocates for others who are unable to defend and care for themselves. They're also excellent mediators. To separate between introverted and extroverted feelings, simply consider what each of the distinct mindsets is looking for. As a result, introverted feeling is more preoccupied with taking care of one's own emotions, where extroverted feeling is more focused with pleasing others. So introverted feeling feels good about themselves, whereas extroverted feeling feels good about pleasing others. And to be totally fair, neither is selfish, they just have a different perspective. So both personality types have introverted intuition and both use extroverted sensing. However, both the number 2 and number 3 mindsets for both the INFJ and INTJ are slightly balanced, which makes distinguishing the two types difficult. But I want you to pay attention to the second and third cognitive functions, because it could be one of the most useful ways to distinguish the two types. INFJs use extroverted feeling and introverted thinking, whereas INTJs use introverted feeling and extroverted thinking. The combination of those two will undoubtedly influence what their introverted intuition is interested in, especially in terms of how it will influence how that personality interacts with others. Do you think you are more of an INFJ or INTJ? Let me know in the comments below. You've got this, now go get it done. Grab yourself some more brain food to help you level up your life and click on one of the videos on your screen right now.